Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast with your hosts, Reese Downing and Jacob Workman.
What's going on, guys? It is TNT Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast, NFL edition, weekly news and week 4 picks. With me, as always, is the fine citizen, Mr. Jacob Workman. Jake, how's it going?
Everything's good. What's going on?
Oh, not too much, man. Dealing with parity in the NFL week over week, and these games have been tough as hell to pick. Yeah, it's been a rough start to the NFL season and trying to predict all these games. Last week, Jake went 9-7. He did miss his lock on Houston, but he hit his dog with Philly. I went 7-9. I hit my lock with Detroit, but missed my dog with the Chargers. For the year, Jake is sitting at 21-27. I am sitting at 19-29. So both of us are pretty well under 500 right now. But yeah, if you look at what's going on with Vegas, it's been a good year for them. Jake, how is Vegas doing, or how did they do in week 3?
Yeah, so underdogs of 5.5 or more are now 14-2 against the spread, with 10 outright wins. And on Sunday and Monday, that was a 5-0 record also. So if you're getting 5.5 or more, I think the thing is to just take them at this point.
Yeah.
Three teams still have not covered a spread. One of them is going to be a little surprising. That is the Houston Texans. Miami Dolphins and the Tennessee Titans are the 3.
All right. Well, 2 of the 3 aren't surprising. One of those is definitely, though. The Texans not covering a spread is interesting. All right. Well, hopefully as we move into week 4 here, we can right the ship a little bit and get some W's under our belt. But before we jump into picks, let's cover some topics here. Starting off, what's going on with the Raiders? There was some juice coming into the season about how good the defense would be, how the head coaching move with Antonio Pierce could steer this team in the right direction. But Sunday's game looked to prove otherwise. Straight off a surprise win in Baltimore, the Ravens gave up 36 and caught an L against a team that just replaced its starting quarterback and by all accounts looked to be lucky to win a game this season. Panthers coming into the game had 352 total yards of offense on the year. They put up 437 in this one, so more than doubled what they had done the previous 2 weeks. Deontay Johnson, Chuba Hubbard both had career games. The Red Rifle became the first QB of the season with at least 3 touchdowns and 300 yards through the air. He finished 26 of 37 for 319, 3 touchdowns and no picks. On the other side of the coin, the Raiders went 3 for 11 on third down, only scored 3 times on 12 possessions, and had less than 60 yards in total rushing. After the game, Antonio Pierce was asked about the team's overall performance, and he said, quote, "I think as the game went on, I don't think it was the team. I think there was definitely some individuals that made business decisions and will make business decisions moving forward as well. This seems to hint at some of the players decided to tap out as the game progressed, and the finger pointing is going at Davante Adams, who was visibly frustrated at halftime sitting on the bench as the cameras cut to him. Trade rumors are now swirling again about shipping Davante Adams out. Jake, what do you think of the situation in Vegas? How do you think the team should move forward with Davante Adams? It's, for what it's worth, his cap number's jumping from just over 25 mil this year to more than 44 million next year, but he does have no guaranteed money on his deal after this season.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. I don't think you can get rid of him though if you want to stay competitive. But one player I was really hoping that they would be trying to get rid of is Max Crosby, because the Lions have had some significant injuries at defensive end, and Max Crosby loves Detroit, so that would be a nice match made. But I don't know. I mean, it's probably a lot of coach speak, to be honest. He's probably just pissed off they lost to the worst team ever. And it is what it is. I think they'll rebound. I don't think we're going to see any crazy wholesale changes or anything like that. I mean, potentially maybe a quarterback change just because there was a battle with that to begin with. But I don't think we're going to see anything crazy here. And we'll see how the next few weeks go. And then there will probably be a little bit more serious discussion.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I do believe that they did come out today and say Gardner Minshew is going to be the starting quarterback for week 4. So no switch to Aiden O'Connell at this point, but we'll see what happens as the season progresses. Moving on here, Vikings get another big win against a formidable opponent, this time against the Houston Texans. They've moved to 3-0 after laying the smackdown on Houston 34-7. Darnold finished 17-28 for 184, 4 touchdowns and no interceptions, while distributing the ball to 6 different receivers. He's currently got a 117.3 passer rating, 8 touchdowns to 2 picks, and over 650 yards through the air. Aaron Jones had a dominant game. He had 102 on the ground on 19 carries. He is currently a top 10 running back with over 220 yards and a touchdown for the year. The defense gave up 296 yards, but only 38 total on the ground. Held the Texans to 4 for 14 on third down, came up with 2 big interceptions. This year, the Vikings defense has given up the second most in the league in passing yards, but they're top 4 in run defense, just outside the top 10 in sacks, and have the second most interceptions this year. Jake, are the Vikings legit?
I'm not sure yet, but I will say that their defense has been playing very good. And I've always said Minnesota's defense has not been good over the last few years. I was pretty impressed with what their defense has been doing. They were all over Stroud in that game. Offensively, they're still not that impressive to me. Obviously, I love Kevin O'Connell. I mean, he's a Rams guy. I like what he does. I like the offense he runs. I just don't think that they're. I don't know. I'm not bought into the offense yet. I mean, they have pieces and they're decent, but I'm not sure that that's going to last. But if the defense can keep playing like that and keep getting pressure like that, they're going to be in every game.
Yeah, they've got a tough matchup that's going to be a divisional matchup coming up this week, and that's the Green Bay Packers, who actually got a statement W in Nashville against the Titans. Malik Willis got a W in his revenge game. He went 13 for 19 for 202 and a score through the air, but then he added 6 carries for 73 yards and another score on the ground. The Titans, meanwhile, have now started the season 0-3 and are struggling to get things going despite an influx of weapons across the offense when you compare it to last season's offense. The team finished with only 237 total offensive yards. They were held to just 33 yards on the ground. They allowed 8 sacks. Levis is also continuing to struggle with turnovers. He threw 2 picks in this game and made another terrible decision. He stared down that first read in airmail to pick 6 right to Jair Alexander with 51 seconds left in the first quarter of the game. That put the Packers up 17-7, and the Titans just never were able to recover. We talked about this last week. How much longer before Callahan pulls the plug on Levis?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's still technically he's a young starter. I don't think you can really pull him yet in that case, but some of the stuff he's doing is very boneheaded. I mean, at 0-3, something's got to happen quick. So I think we'll know soon if that's going to happen, but it's just a shame. Like Tennessee last week, I will say they shouldn't have won that game, but they literally should be 2-1 right now. So it's hard to say with them because they're not that far off. That's the thing. So I can't fault them too much, but I don't know. That's another one that'll be fun to follow, kind of like the Oakland situation. I think in the next few weeks, we're going to know a lot more.
Vegas. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on it. I don't know how much longer you can go keeping the Levis under center when, by all accounts, when you look at their losses, like he has been majorly responsible for all 3 of those L's. So we'll see what happens with Callahan. He is definitely a young guy, so hopefully they can make it work with him. Maybe they have to simplify the offense a little bit. I'm not really sure what needs to happen. He's a big dude, so he should be able to take off and run, if he's not seeing his reads quickly. So we'll see what happens there. Can't go without calling out the massive come from behind win that the Rams somehow pulled off against the Niners on Sunday. Rams trailed the Niners by double digits well into the fourth quarter. They were down 24-17 with just over 4 minutes remaining. Niners were driving down the field. Jake Moody missed a 55-yard field goal. The Rams only took 3 plays to set up a Kyron Williams touchdown to tie the game with 1:54 left. Rams defense then forced the Niners punt, which Xavier Smith returned to the 50. Deep ball from Stafford led to a defensive PI call, which set up Joshua Carty to knock in the game-winning field goal. Jake, what were your thoughts on the come-from-behind W from Optimus 9?
Can't give him the ball at the end of the game with a chance to win. I don't care about Brady's stats. Brady was on much better teams. There's no one better with late in the game on a game-winning drive than Matthew Stafford. That deep ball you were talking about with the pass interference, he actually had drawn a penalty early in that play, and he realized he had a free shot, so he sent it downfield, and it led to the second penalty on that play, which was the pass interference, which was huge. For the injuries that they have on that team, I mean, I know the Niners have some injuries too, but they're not as bad off as the Rams are right now. And for them to come out and win that game in a game that they truly never win, down early by a lot, the whole stadium was red. I mean, we always say SoFi is not a home field. It was an awesome game to watch. It's fun to watch him do what he can do. So I was very happy with that.
Yeah, that was his 45th game-winning drive in the fourth quarter or overtime in his career. That's good for seventh most since 1970. So he continues just to prove you don't give this dude the ball when the game's on the line in the fourth. If you want to win the game and you're on the defense anyway. A couple other quick notes here. It is rumored that the Carolina Panthers have rejected trade offers from 4 different teams for quarterback Bryce Young. It appears the Panthers are taking a temporary approach to the benching. It's likely that they are going to put Young back into the starting role before the end of the year. We'll continue to monitor that. The Baltimore Ravens are bringing back defensive end Yannick Ngakoue to the team. That is another piece of news that came in. Looking at a couple stats from last week, Malik Neighbors continues breaking records. Not only did he become the youngest receiver with a multi-touchdown game in NFL history, he's also the first player in NFL history to record at least 20 catches, 250 yards, and 3 touchdowns in the first 3 games of the year. We talked a little bit about Sam Darnold earlier. He is now the 4th quarterback in Vikings history to start and win each of his team's first 3 games of the year, and he is the first quarterback in Vikings history to start a season 3-0 and throw multiple touchdowns in each game. Shout out to Juwan Jennings, who did have a game for the ages. He finished with 11 catches for 175 yards and 3 touchdowns. Your boy Jahmyr Gibbs scored a receiving touchdown without recording a reception on a hook and ladder play that was just beautifully played. Jared Goff threw a short pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who then lateraled the ball to Gibbs for a huge touchdown. In the official box score, Gibbs finished with 0 targets, 0 catches, 20 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. That is the second time that's happened in the Super Bowl era.
Yeah, they couldn't have timed that any better. That was the best timing. Like, they could run that 100 more times and it wouldn't be timed that perfectly.
Yeah, I agree. It was very, very well executed. Finally, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes started his 99th career game, and he got his 77th career win in his first 100 games, which is the most in NFL history, surpassing Tom Brady and Roger Staubach, who both each won 76 of their first 100 starts. All right, injury updates. We'll try to rip through these as quickly as possible. Starting 49ers star running back Christian McCaffrey is consulting an expert from Germany about his Achilles tendonitis. That's not great news for Niners fans. In other news, defensive tackle Javon Hargrave has a partially torn triceps, and he will be out for the rest of the year as well. Browns defensive end Myles Garrett's dealing with the same issue on both feet, and he is considered day-to-day. Panthers wide receiver Adam Thielen is expected to miss some time with a hamstring injury. Raiders safety Marcus Epps suffered a torn ACL in Sunday's loss to the Panthers. He's going to be out for the rest of the year. Bengals right tackle Trent Brown suffered a torn patellar tendon in his right knee. He will undergo season-ending surgery. Lions tight end Sam Laporta is listed as day-to-day after suffering an ankle injury during Sunday's win over the Cardinals. Defensive end Marcus Davenport, as Jake alluded to earlier, suffered a significant elbow injury as well. He is going to be out for the season. Colts defensive end Kwity Paye suffered a quad injury during Sunday's win over the Bears. He is being evaluated. Kenny Moore, their cornerback, also suffered a hip injury in the win. Chargers, another team that's dealing with a ton of injuries right now. Justin Herbert aggravated an ankle injury that forced him out of Sunday's loss to the Steelers. The x-rays did come back negative. He's going to be continually monitored throughout the week. They have lost both their starting left and right tackle. Rashawn Slater suffered a strained pectoral. He sounds like he may miss this week's matchup against the Chiefs. Rookie starter Joe Alt also got injured. He suffered a sprained MCL that will cause him to miss some time. And defensive end Joey Bosa, he played 1 snap and then walked off with trainers, and then he was ruled out with a hip injury. So we'll see if that's going to be something that's going to linger. QB Sam Darnold, Vikings, we've talked about him a good bit already. He is dealing with a knee bruise, but there's no structural damage, so he's not expected to miss any time. Steelers outside linebacker Alex Highsmith aggravated a groin injury. He's awaiting MRI results. Titans defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons is dealing with an elbow injury. He's considered day-to-day. Meanwhile, cornerback Chidobe Awuzie has a groin injury. It looks like he may miss some time. Eagles wide receiver Devonta Smith took an ugly hit in the second half of the Saints game. That knocked him out for the remainder of the contest. He's currently in concussion protocol. Their left tackle Lane Johnson was actually seen throwing up on the sidelines. He's also in concussion protocol as well. Last couple ones here. Cardinals tight end Trey McBride got hurt in a rough collision with the Lions' Brian Branch. He's currently in concussion protocol. Saints offensive lineman Eric McCoy suffered a groin injury and is being evaluated. And lastly, the Falcons are dealing with their own issues on the O-line as both right tackle Caleb McGarry and center Drew Dahlman suffered injuries in their loss to the Chiefs, and they are expected to miss some time as well. We did not talk about this ahead, but Jake, what were your thoughts on the non-PI call in the Falcons-Chiefs game?
I mean, it's referees. You know how I feel about it. I still
That's
think,
why I was setting you up.
yeah, I still think we need to implement. Belichick has said he wants it a little bit more broad than this, but Belichick wants everything challengeable. I like what they did in the X or whatever the hell UFL, whatever the USFL XFL merger league was, where they gave the coaches one challenge a game where they can challenge anything they want. Doesn't matter what the situation was. They had a challenge that it was called the Super Challenge, and they could challenge whatever they wanted. I wish they would implement that. I really do. I think it's needed. These games are too big for shit like that. Like we've got to implement something. I think that would go a long way in it.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. They're always looking to they're introduced this goofy ass new kickoff rule. So who knows? Maybe this time next year they'll change it up again. All right, guys, let's jump into some week 4 picks here. All right, first up, our Thursday night matchup is an NFC East showdown as the 1-2 Dallas Cowboys head to Jersey to face off against the 1-2 New York Football Giants. That is going to be 8:20 p.m. at MetLife Stadium on Amazon Prime. Cowboys are looking to shake off 2 straight losses at home with a road win over a rival after losing by 3 to the Ravens, while the Giants look to carry their momentum into 2 straight wins after getting a 6-point victory over the Browns in Cleveland. Dallas is favored by 5.5.
Yeah, I know Dallas has been kind of struggling against the run a little bit, but I don't like the Giants at all. It is a short week on the road for Dallas. They need to regroup fast, but I think this is a perfect situation for them to do that. So I'm going to take it Dallas minus 5.5.
Yeah, Dak's won 12 straight against the Giants. I don't see that streak breaking. Look for the Cowboys to shake off a rough home stretch with a big win. I'm going to take Dallas here minus the points as well. The first of our Sunday games features the 0-3 Cincinnati Bengals as they travel to the Carolinas to battle the 1-2 Carolina Panthers, 1 p.m. at Bank of America Stadium on Fox. The Bengals are still looking for win number 1 after losing at home to the Commanders on Monday night, while the Panthers look to make it 2 in a row on the shoulders of the Red Rifle after getting a 14-point victory over the Raiders in Vegas. Bengals are favored by 4.5.
Yeah, I never would have thought that Cincinnati would be the winless team in this game, but we had coaches threatening to change their whole organizations after losing to this team last week. So I think I think it's a get right spot for Cincinnati. I know it is a short week and they're going on the road, but I just like Cincinnati, and I still think Carolina is awful. So I think Cincinnati comes to life and gets a pretty easy win here. I like them to cover.
All right, yeah, this is a little interesting. Red Rifle's 2-1 with 100 passing rating against his former squad in Cincy. I don't know what's going on in Cincy, but even if they get the win here, I think it's going to be close. I'm taking Carolina here plus the 4.5 at home to keep it within a field goal. I think the Bengals are going to win this game, but I think the Panthers are going to keep it close enough. All right, next up we have the 1-2 Denver Broncos as they continue their road trip this week to East Rutherford as they look to match up against the 2-1 New York Jets, 1 p.m. at MetLife Stadium on CBS. Broncos are coming off a convincing 26-7 win over Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucks, while the Jets look to keep the home field advantage juice flowing after a 24-3 win over the New England Patriots last week on Thursday Night Football. The Jets are favored by 7.5.
Yeah, I just realized we had a game, the Dallas game, and now this game. We've had 2 games with that 5.5 or more for underdogs. And I already picked one against, so that might not be a good method here. But I don't think Denver can do again what they did to Tampa. I like the Jets in Jet Life. 7.5 is a lot, but I do like the Jets. I'm going to take the Jets.
Yeah, we finally get the Rodgers Peyton Hackett situation here.
Mm-hmm.
Denver's coming off a big win, but the Jets defense I think is going to create some havoc for Bo Nix. This may be a push, but they got moved from 7 to 7.5, so it's not going to be a push. Either way, I'm going to take the Jets here minus the points. All right. 2-1 New Orleans Saints head to Hotlanta in NFC South showdown as they face off against the 1-2 Atlanta Falcons, 1 p.m. at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Fox. The Saints lost a tight battle to the Eagles in New Orleans last Sunday, while the Falcons were in another wire-to-wire game last week, this time a controversial loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Falcons are favored by 1.5 at home.
Yeah, these teams always play great games. This will be a fun one to watch. I'm gonna stick with the home team here. I'm gonna take Atlanta getting the 1.5.
Yeah, I'm going Saints here. They've won 5 of the last 6 in Atlanta. I think they take some anger out from last week's loss against the Eagles, so I'm going to take New Orleans here plus the 1.5. Right. We've got another divisional battle as the 3-0 Minnesota Vikings head east to Titletown to battle the 2-1 Green Bay Packers, 1 p.m. at Lambeau Field on CBS. The Vikes look to remain undefeated after a dominant win over the Houston Texans last week, while the Pack return home after getting a win in Nashville over the Titans 30-14. Status of Jordan Love is still up in the air here, but it sounds like there's a good chance that he is going to be under center. We'll see. Right now, it is going to be Malik Willis. The Green Bay Packers are favored by 2.5.
Yeah, it might be a little risky to put Love back there if the Vikings can keep bringing the pressure that they've had the last few weeks. But Packers at home, I still am not a little sold on the Vikings offense. Green Bay's defense has had a pretty successful start to the season so far. So I'm going to take the Packers minus the 2.5.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Aaron Jones up against his former team. It's always fun to watch Justin Jefferson against Alexander. That's a fun matchup. Assuming Willis is the one who starts, I'm going to take the Vikings and the points here. I just think Minnesota is going to be able to get it done on the road. All right, another divisional matchup, this time in the AFC South, as the 0-3 Jacksonville Jaguars head to Hustletown to meet the 2-1 Houston Texans, 1 p.m. at NRG Stadium on CBS. The Jags enter a short week and are coming off an ugly beatdown at the hands of the Buffalo Bills on Monday night, while the Texans return home and look to shake off a tough loss of their own after losing to the Vikings 34-7. The Texans are favored by 7.
Yeah, another one of those 5.5 or more spots, but I'm still going over. I'm going to take Houston minus 7. Jacksonville to me, I think there seems to be a lot going on there.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's happening in Jacksonville, but I'm taking the Texans minus the points here. Texans do need to fix the run game without Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce. They got to figure that out. We'll see if either one of those guys ends up back here. But either way, I like Stroud at home. I like those odds, so I'm going to take the Texans here minus the points. The 3-0 Pittsburgh Steelers hit the road to Circle City to take on the 1-2 Indianapolis Colts, 1 p.m. at Lucas Oil Stadium on CBS. Steel Curtain are coming off a 10-point home win over the Chargers and look to remain undefeated, while the Colts get their second straight home win and look to carry some of their own momentum forward after a 5-point win over Chicago last week. Pittsburgh comes into Indy favored by 1.5.
Yeah, I like the Steelers minus 1.5. Indy just hasn't impressed me that much. And Pittsburgh's playing really good right now. Like I'm actually, I like what Pittsburgh's doing a lot. And generally Pittsburgh can turn any stadium into a home stadium for them. I think their fans will travel well. I think it'll be a mixed crowd in Indy. So I do like Pittsburgh here minus 1.5.
Yeah, both of us being from Indiana, we both know that there are a lot of Steelers fans around. The Steelers are very much dialed in right now. Very tough defense. They're taking a safe approach with Justin Fields, and he's limiting his mistakes. He's performing really well. I am also going to take Pittsburgh here minus the points to step into Indy and get the W. The 1-2 Los Angeles Rams head to Windy City to face off against the 1-2 Chicago Bears, 1 p.m. at Soldier Field on Fox. LA is coming off a huge comeback win over the 49ers last week and continues battling through a ton of injuries, while the Bears return home after a road loss to the Colts and look to get to 500. The Bears are favored by 2.5.
Yeah, I'm a little interested in why the Bears are favored in this game. I guess maybe because they're the home team, but I'm going to take the Rams plus the 2.5 and maybe even to win outright.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is a tough one. Stafford's won his last 2 in Chicago. The Bears are struggling to protect Caleb Williams. LA's defense can get a couple turnovers here. This should be the Rams game to lose. So I am also going to take the Rams here plus the 2.5. The last of our early kickoffs features the 2-1 Philadelphia Eagles as they travel to the Sunshine State to battle the 2-1 Tampa Bay Bucks, 1 p.m. at the Ray J on Fox. Eagles look for win number 3 after getting a tight-windowed win over the New Orleans Saints in the Big Easy last week, while the Bucks look to right the ship and shake off an ugly loss at home to the Denver Broncos. Philly is favored by 2.5.
Yeah, I've got a playoff rematch from last year too. This one's interesting because Tampa surely can't look as bad as they looked last week. I'm going to go with Philly to get the cover here.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this game, but I am going to take Philly as well. I think Philly comes into this remembering what happened to them last year. I expect this one to potentially generate quite a bit of points. So I'd be looking at the over, but I am going to take Philly here minus the 2.5 to get the win. The first of our midday matchups features the 1-2 New England Patriots as they head to the Bay Area to face off against the 1-2 San Francisco 49ers, 4:05 p.m. kickoff at Levi Stadium on Fox. The Pats are coming off a 24-3 loss to the Jets, while the Niners have lost 2 straight and look to avoid 3 in a row after giving up a W in the final minutes of their game against Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Big spread here. Niners are favored by 10.
Yeah, this seems like a lot. It's a little concerning, actually. Jesus. I'm going to go with the 49ers. God, that's a big spread, though. But I don't think, I think that last week was probably a wake up call for them.
Yeah, this spread is super concerning to me. I hate these 10-point spreads, especially with what's been going on this year. If New England can't find the end zone in this game, I think Gerard Mayo needs to start looking about putting in the Drake. But either way, I think I'm going to go San Fran here minus the points. Next up, we have the 2-1 Washington Commanders heading to the Valley of the Sun to match up against the 1-2 Arizona Cardinals, 4:05 p.m. at State Farm Stadium on Fox. Washington looks to make it 3 in a row after putting up 38 Monday night on their way to a win over the Bengals, while the Cardinals stay home and look to shake off a 7-point loss at the hands of the Detroit Lions. Arizona is favored by 3.5.
Yeah, it sucks. It's a short week. They've got to go all the way across the country, but I love what I saw from the offense last night. I'm going to take the Commanders here to win outright.
I am right there with you. Never thought I'd be saying it, but this should actually be a fun matchup watching Kyler Murray go up against Jaden Daniels. Commanders are off on a short week, but I like getting the 3.5, so I'm going to take the points in Washington here. The 1-2 Cleveland Browns head to Sin City to battle the 1-2 Las Vegas Raiders. 4:25 p.m. kickoff at Allegiant Stadium on CBS. The Browns hit the road after a 6-point loss to the Commanders at home, while the Raiders get their second straight home game and look to forget last week's 14-point loss to the Carolina Panthers. The Browns are the road favorite here and are favored by 1.5.
Yeah, anytime things start going about people getting traded and stuff like that, the team chemistry is down. I'm going to go with Cleveland minus 1.5 just for a situational game here.
Yeah, it's a tough game to pick. Cleveland's got to find a way to protect Deshaun, who's somehow been sacked more than Caleb Williams, which is hard to believe. On the other side, the Raiders do need to figure it out on offense. I would definitely take the under on this one, but home matchup, I'm going to take the Raiders here plus the 1.5. Hopefully they can get it done at home. All right. Next up, we have the last of our 4 p.m. matchups, which is the 3-0 Kansas City Chiefs as they head to Inglewood to take on the 2-1 LA Chargers. 4:25 p.m. at SoFi Stadium on CBS. The Chiefs look to make it 4 straight after controversial win over the Falcons in Atlanta on Sunday night, while the Chargers return home after a 10-point loss at the hands of Justin Fields and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Another big spread. Kansas City's favored by 8.5. This has ticked up a little bit since yesterday.
Yeah, it's hard to ever just pick the Chiefs to cover just because they rarely cover. But I know we're still kind of awaiting the Herbert news also, but I like the Chiefs in this one minus the 8.5.
Yeah, I went. My biggest concern, not only Herbert, but they've got 2 offensive tackles that are injured. Joey Bosa's hurt. The Chargers are just dealing with a lot, and that run game's not going to be what it is if they're missing those big components on the line. So I am going to take Kansas City here to get the win and cover the 8.5. Next up, we have our Sunday night matchup, which features the 3-0 Buffalo Bills hitting the road to the land of crab cakes and football to face off against the 1-2 Baltimore Ravens. 8:20 p.m. kickoff at M&T Bank Stadium on NBC. The Bills head into a short week and are coming off a dominant 37-point win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, while the Ravens return home after getting a W in Jerry World last week against the Cowboys. The Ravens are favored by 2.5 at home.
Yeah, I like the Ravens in this. The Ravens minus 2.5. I think they can keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hands and control the clock. I like Baltimore at home here.
Yeah, I'm giving the Ravens the benefit of the doubt being at home here, so I am also going to take Baltimore minus the points. I just hope for their purpose that if it does come down to a field goal, they get old Justin Tucker, not 2024 Justin Tucker.
Yeah, that might be the craziest thing of the NFL season, actually. No kicker in the league is missing at all except Justin Tucker. It's crazy.
Yeah, I do feel like he's kind of passed the torch a little bit to Brandon Aubrey, though. That's like the one bright spot for the Cowboys. Is Brandon Aubrey has just been absolutely automatic. I'm knocking on all pieces of wood that are around me, though, because next week he's going to miss 30 field goals. All right. Week 2 of Monday Night Doubleheader, guys. The first of our games featuring the 0-3 Tennessee Titans as they head to Vice City to battle the 1-2 Miami Dolphins. This is a 7:30 p.m. kickoff at Hard Rock Stadium on ESPN. Titans are still searching for that first win under Brian Callahan after a 16-point loss at home against the Packers last week, while the Dolphins return home and continue trying to overcome the injury bug after losing to the Seahawks in Seattle 24-3. Tennessee is favored by 1.5.
Yeah, I think I've picked Tennessee every game this year. They haven't won yet. Obviously, these are two teams of the three that I mentioned earlier that neither have a cover, so someone's going to finally get on the cover board here. I'm going to go with the Dolphins at home. I mean, they look like ass with Thompson at quarterback, but I don't know. I can't put my faith in Tennessee anymore like I have every other week this season. So I'm going to ride with the Dolphins.
Yeah, I can't put my faith in Tennessee because of the turnovers. And I'm also thinking, like if they are going to be stuck with Skylar Thompson for a while, like Mike McDaniel is one of the coaches that can figure out ways to get the ball to Waddle and Hill in inventive ways in order to try to get the ball rolling a little bit. So all of that thing said, I'm going to take the Fins here at home plus the 1.5. The second of our Monday night matchups is a big one here. The 3-0 Seattle Seahawks are heading to Motor City to face off against the 2-1 Detroit Lions. 8:15 p.m. kickoff at Ford Field on ABC. Seattle looks to remain undefeated after a 21-point win over the Dolphins at home last week, while the Lions return home for their third home game of the year after beating the Cardinals by 7 in Glendale last Sunday. Intriguing matchup as Seattle has won 6 straight and 9 of the last 10 against the Lions. Detroit is favored by 4.5 at home.
Yeah, that was something I was going to bring up. I've watched every Lions game for as long as I can tell you, and I don't ever remember beating Seattle. I remember a screw job there on Monday night. I remember them coming into Ford Field last year and beating us bad. They just never beat them, like truly never beat them. Pairing that with the millions of injuries from last week, Davenport's out, Branch is in the concussion protocol, Barnes is out, our center, Frank Ragnow's out. I mean, there's injuries everywhere. It's not good right now. I mean, obviously, we still have enough that we can win the game, but for all the signs of what normally happens in this game and hopefully for some reverse jinx, I'm going to take Seattle.
Yeah, this being a primetime matchup, I think favors the Lions. But to your point, Detroit keeps playing in close games this year, and you guys are dealing with a ton of injuries. I think it's possible that the Lions get the W here, but history tells me to take Seattle here plus the 4.5. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Seahawks plus the points. All right, guys, it is time for locks of the week. Jake, what is your lock?
My lock of the week, mentioned it kind of earlier, Cincinnati minus 4.5 at Carolina. I think I've gone against Carolina most of my locks this season. I'm going to continue that trade. I think Cincinnati can get it right. And with it only being 4.5, I like Cincinnati there.
Love it. Yep, I am locking in on Houston over Jacksonville. Look for CJ Stroud and company to shake off the loss to the Vikings and use that crowd noise and defensive pressure to force some mistakes by Jacksonville and get the big win. So I am locking in on Houston. All right, time for some dogs.
We just talked about it. I'm taking Seattle plus 172 to go on the road Monday night and beat the Lions at home on Monday Night Football.
Well, surprising coming from you, but plus 172, I like it. My underdog for the week is going to be the New Orleans Saints traveling to Atlanta to play the Falcons. These teams are familiar with each other. I think the Saints head into this one pissed off that they lost a close game to Philly last week. Take the frustration out on Captain Kirk and the Falcons defense. So I'm going to take the Saints here to get the win. The dog is mad. All right, guys. That is it for week 4 picks. Just like college football, this season has been flying by. Hopefully not quite as much parity as far as teams expected to win and end up losing and vice versa. I'd like for the bettors to start making some money this year and not just Vegas. So that is it for us, guys. Please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you got to do to get us out there. We appreciate you guys joining and listen to us every week. For the fine citizen, Mr. Jacob Workman, this is Reese Downing, TNT Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast, NFL edition, week 4 picks, and we will see you guys next week.
See you, everyone.